Hello guys, this is Ganesh Nayak. Today in this video, we're going to be talking about the new exam, which is basically provided by GARP. Okay, the exam name is Risk and AI. Okay, and we're going to be talking about the curriculum of this exam. Okay, how many modules are there, how many chapters are there, what are the weightages, and also what is there in that chapter. Okay, all of this we are going to cover in this in this video. Okay, so be with me till the end and I'll be talking about each chapter and talk about the overall curriculum. Okay, so let me give you a brief introduction about the exam. Okay, so Risk and AI is now been introduced as a new exam. Okay, and you can check the logo also over here. This is by GAR, which is Global Association of Risk Professional. Now, one thing before I move ahead, I would just want to clarify that a lot of people or students, they feel that this exam is about coding. This exam requires you to have detailed knowledge about modeling, or this exam will teach you about modeling. That is not correct. Okay, this exam has been created to create professionals which are risk professionals who can talk about the governance related to risk. For example, if I'm working for JP Morgan and there are a lot of AI based models that have been introduced in across the company, I being a risk professional which has this risk and AI certification would look at how these models, how these AI based models, machine learning based models will actually work. In the sense, how should we have oversight, how should we have control. Okay, so your expertise will be a mix, okay, of basics of machine learning, basics of AI, and most importantly it is going to be risk management. Okay, now this exam has been recently launched. Okay, the students who have given the exam, I've talked to them and I've got some insights, okay, which I'll be sharing with you in this video. Okay, first, the exam is around 80 question exam. It's a pretty decently simple exam when you compare it with GARP SCR or GARP FRM exam. This exam is not that tough. Okay, and 80 multiple choice questions. Okay, you get around 100 to 130 hours to prepare. You generally need 100 to 130 hours to prepare for the exam, and the exam is conducted twice every year. Okay, that's the overall structure of the exam. Now when we talk about the course content, the syllabus, there are basically around 6 modules, and like I said, 80 question. The exam is conducted in American English, and it's an MCQ based exam. Okay, you do not have to write anything, you just have to go to the center. Obviously, when you make the payment, you schedule your exam. When you schedule your exam, you go to the center and you can basically apply on the computer screen. You have to answer. One more interesting thing is they have also added a online proctoring for this exam, which you should explore. Now, there are broadly 6 modules. Okay, the first module is this. Now, in this slide, what I've done is I've just given you few important sections which are there in these modules. Okay, but I'll be walking you through the module in detail. So these are the 6 broader modules, and one more interesting part is a case study, which I feel is very good if you want to become a professional, you want to learn how these AI models will be implemented into the banks. Okay, so let us go into the learning objective and what is the overall weightages that we are looking at. Okay, so when we talk about the first module, okay, the first module is an introduction. It tells you where the AI has started, what is classical AI, now how the AI has moved. Okay, the usage of AI has moved. So it has basically giving you the bifurcation of what different use cases, simple use cases of AI. It gives you the introduction of artificial intelligence and the ML, what is the difference, and also it sets the tone, okay, for your further chapters. As we move into module 2, we're going to be reading about these supervised, unsupervised, all of these different types of model. Okay, whether there is good, if it's a supervised model, the data is provided in a very structured way, okay, to the system, and system learns from that data and use it. When it is unsupervised, the data is very unstructured, okay, where they identify some patterns. Okay, so all of these things are explained at an introductory level in this chapter. Like the name suggests, it's an introduction and overview. Around 8 to 12% is the weightage to the exam. Okay, the next, which is the second module. Okay, now over here the entire module has some chapters, around 10 chapters. Okay, now in that module 2, okay, the overall weightage is around 25 to 35%. Okay, this is for the entire module, not for one chapter. Okay, and the first chapter in this is the tool and technique. Okay, from here they start entering towards the different types of model. Again, the module 2 is 25 to 35% weightage, right? So from the exam preparation, this is the main chunk. Okay, so they are comparing what is happening in these different types of module or different types of models. Okay, so semi-supervised is also a combination that certain part of the data is structured, certain part is not structured. So how the model will learn. Okay, also this chapter focus more on the data cleaning part. Okay, what are the methods of cleaning data? Then there is principal component analysis, which has been discussed in detail. If you are a student of FRM, you would be able to connect the PCA, which is also there in your FRM level 2. Plus this part, when you look at the overall data, how do you bifurcate the data? Because if you have around 100%, say around 5 years of data, you're going to be using 2-3 years of data just to train the model. Okay, then validate the model or whether the model has been working fine or not, and then do the final test on the model. So you take the overall data and you bifurcate the data based on that. Okay, so that is basically the first chapter in your overall module 1 or module 2. The second chapter, now if you look at the content, what is happening, they have taken up each types of model and they've created chapters on it. Okay, so the unsupervised, where we use clustering and segmentation. Why? Because the data is not labeled. Okay, the data is not labeled. So very simple reference of this would be, suppose if I am giving you the data of home prices in Mumbai, and I'm giving you all the details, whether it's a 1 BHK, 2 BHK, what is the location, what is the size, what is the carpet area, what is the build-up area, and I am also giving you the price. Okay, so I'm giving you the entire data in labeled format. Okay, when we talk about this unlabeled format, okay, I might not be giving you the price. Okay, or I might not be giving you some details, like for example, what is the carpet area of the house, and the model will have to learn from the given data, okay, which is unlabeled, and create a model or create an forecasting. Okay, so most common method is clustering. Okay, this k means, which is the k nearest model, okay, that also has to be that has also been explained in this chapter. One more way, that if you have read about linear regression, okay, there is a concept of sum of square, okay, which is being used in expected sum of square or error sum of square or total sum of square. That similar concept is also over here, which is the sum of square concept. Okay, so it will connect slightly to your linear regression chapter, but what is the focus of this chapter for talking about unsupervised learning is that if the data is not in a structured format, it is not labeled, how your model is going to work on that data. Second is econometric techniques. Okay, now within the econometric techniques, linear regression is the simplest form. Linear regression is the simplest form, okay, of regression model. They start with that, and they go towards logistic regression, which is a slightly higher version of that. Okay, and linear discriminant analysis is also one thing which you learn, which is there in your FRM level 2. Also linear regression is also there in FRM level 2. You then move towards logistic. Okay, logistic regression is basically non-linear relationship. You try to capture the relationship between your independent variables and your dependent variables. Okay, so there are various regression techniques. Quadratic regression techniques are also there. So these techniques are helping you to capture the relationship, so that once you understand the relationship, you will be in a position to do prediction. Okay, this is third chapter of your module 2. Entire module 2 is important. Machine learning technique, this is the k nearest network. Then you have the support vector mechanism. Again, both of them are methods of looking at decision tree. Now what is decision tree? The way a human would take a decision. For example, the first question that you're going to be asking, the answer is going to be yes or no. Okay, if it is yes, what is going to be your next question? So the machine is going to take decision in a series. Okay, and depending upon whether it is yes or no, the tree will actually move forward. That is basically your decision tree. And the higher version of this is neural network, where you are actually going to take multiple decisions together the way we take in our brain. Okay, and what are the major problems in that? Okay, what are the major challenges that you face? Okay, also the chapter focuses on PCA and comparison. Now see, if you read this dimensionality reduction, what they are simply talking about is that if I'm going to run any regression, I cannot take multiple independent variables. Okay, I will have to think about which are the most important independent variables, which will help me to find the dependent variable y. Okay, so this entire concept of dimensionality reduction is based on that. And PCA is one method of doing it, and autoencoder is also one more method of doing it. Okay, so machine learning techniques is also the fourth chapter. Then you have semi-supervised. Supervised is your entire data is labeled. Semi-supervised, like I said, some part is labeled and some part is not. Okay. Over here, they've also talked about self-training and co-training. That means the model is learning on its own. Okay. Whether it's learning on its own or whether it's learning with you. That concept has also been explained in this chapter. Very interesting and new. If you're curious about these models, like AI, then you will learn a lot from this entire curriculum. Okay, model estimation. Now this model estimation as a concept, it basically tells you whether the model that you've created, okay, that the model creation part, for example, there is Markovitch approach concept, okay, exploratory and exploitation. So how the models, how the algorithm's mind is going to work. Will he go toward the new, new decision, or will he basically choose from the history? So whenever, if you suppose there is a robot and he is being given a lot of colored balls, okay, the ball he picks up, he has to now take a decision and he has to give an answer whether this ball is going to be red, green or orange. Okay, when he is exploring, in the mode of exploring, he will try to take a new guess, but when he is only looking at historical exploitation, he will give answer on the basis of what past balls he has chosen and what has been the color of those balls, and he's going to basically give answer based on that. So again, these are very specific to the model development aspect. Okay, Monte Carlo simulation is widely used in finance right now, so nothing very interesting. It's just a repeat and they're comparing with the temporal method. Okay, neural network is briefly introduced in this chapter, but the major focus is what is the mindset that you have to keep when you're creating the model. The next is within the model estimation. Over here, they have talked about the OLS least square regression, which is nothing but the linear basis of linear regression. And they are also telling you that whether your model is good enough or not. They're trying to check on that. That means if the model is underfitted or overfitted. Okay. And also there's a concept of bias variance framework. Again, what is this? In a very simple terms, they are basically telling you whether your model has too many independent variables, okay, or whether the model has very less independent variables. Okay, if it has too many independent variables, the biasness will be very low, okay, but the variance of your prediction will be higher. Okay, and if you have very less independent variable, okay, the biasness will be higher because you might not have selected the right independent variable which is going to explain. Okay, and but the overall variance might not be very high, it might be lower. So over here, these concepts are very basic concept of your model development and model estimation. Again, it is there in your FRM curriculum also, which is being discussed in this chapter. Very interesting concept, chapter number 7. Model performance evaluation. Okay, this is basically the false positive, true false positive, and overall false positive rate. Why we are doing it? Because when we create a model, we want to understand how different or how better my model is as compared to a normal random model. Okay, now they have talked about the ROC coverage. When you read, you will be able to understand this is my random model. Okay, my model is somewhere here and the actual model is this. So it tries to gauge whether the model that you've created, is it moving towards a good model or is it moving towards a random model which is not going to help anyway. Okay, so this confusion matrix is created from these false positive numbers. This chapter has some level of calculation which is tested in your exam. Okay, that's what I've come to know. NLP is you can think of it as a chatbot. Okay, when you go to any bank and you start talking on the chatbot, they primarily use NLP as a method. Okay, so how does a computer understands when you're putting your name, you're putting you're talking to him on the chat? Okay, so they basically breaks down each letter, each word, and try to make sense of it. So bag of word, n-gram, all of these are component into it. And if you move into the higher version of natural language, it also understands sentiment. Okay, For example, if you have used in your chat a lot of times not, the word not. So whether you are very angry with the company or whether you are very negative about the company, so you will, the analysis that we are talking about, sentiment analysis, will go through the entire conversation and try to find negative words, positive words, and try to overall gauge the sentiment of the conversation. That is also being explained in the NLP. Very, very interesting concept. Okay. Generative AI and LLM, now a lot of people are already using chat GPTs. Okay, so these large language models which will help you to like for example Gemini, you have a Nano Banana. Okay, you have chat GPT. Okay, all of these Copilot, all of these models are basically generating new things. They're not just telling you what is there. Okay, they're creating new images, new videos. Okay, that is very interesting. Okay, and that's where the prompt engineering, they have explained you, okay, how does prompt engineering works and the overall concept of LLM and generative AI over there, and what are the major applications. Okay, this is entirely your module 2. Okay, when we enter into module 3, we are now focusing on the, so till module 2 the overall focus of the curriculum is to help you understand what is AI, what is ML. Then in module 3 we are entering into the concept of risk. Okay, that means we are thinking from the governance perspective. Okay, so over here the fairness and trade-off, whether my model is fair enough. Why? Because if my model by default is doing discrimination, a very simple example of this would be, I have deployed a model for giving loan. Automatically the based on your profile the loans are provided, and they have, the model is rejecting loan of black people. Okay, so it is basically discriminatory. So how do we make sure that there is no biasness, there is no unfairness in your model, and whatever you have created as a model, are you able to explain that to the regulator? Are you able to explain to the auditor? So what is the transparency level? Again, all of this concept of explainability is very important. Okay, so now from this module we are entering into the understanding of risk factors, and more on the governance aspect. Okay, can there be any reputation damage when you deploy a model? Correct. If in the market it comes to know that whatever your loan providing model that you've imported, it is basically doing discrimination against black people, again there is immediately a reputation damage for you. So module 3 tries to focus on that risk part. Okay, and the module 4 is connecting. Okay, how do we make sure? So once you understand the risk in the module 3, we come to this chapter where we try to help understand that how do I create a more ethical model or more responsible model. Okay, where there is no biasness. Okay, so these all concept, the core principle of when we say ethical models, what are the core principles associated with it? Okay, the key ethics principle associated with it, and how do I reduce the biasness in the model, in the algorithm while writing the code itself. Okay, indirectly you have given preference to certain type of customers. Okay, so that is important. Suppose there is a cyber attack, okay, and it corrupts the data in such a way that it is favoring certain type of customer only. That can also happen. So your privacy related part is important. Okay, your regulatory aspect comes into picture, because if I want to make my model more responsible, what does regulator talks about it? Okay, what is the global framework talks about it? Okay, currently the governance is not very strong in majority of the countries with respect to how your model should be, but slowly and gradually this is going to be very, very big in a lot of banks. So if you are a student who's planning to appear or make a career in this side, AI based side, and you want to be in the finance area, this chapter will help you understand how you can help your bank in creating a better model. Okay, so this is a very interesting chapter. I've read it, it's very interesting. The fifth part is data, because your entire module is based on data, right? So how do you make sure that the data is correct, data is clean? Okay, so you should have a strong data governance framework, and in your development of the model there should be checks on the data also. When you're testing the model, validating the model, you have to do the same thing for your data also. Okay, so that you have an overall governance policies and procedure related to data. So this module 5th is more about the backbone of your model development, and they are saying we are not just only going to have governance for data for the model, we are also requiring governance for the data. Okay, so this chapter is the backbone of your overall RAI curriculum. Okay, Last is case study. So how AI based models or machine learning based models, okay, are actually going to enter into the case study based format, in the sense how what is the applicability, okay, in the industry. Okay, so now I've just added the same learning objectives here because the chapter name explicitly talks about the case study. Okay, the weightage is 0, but it helps you to understand, okay, where the model can be used in the bank. So again, I expect people to read that content also. Okay, in future we are going to be coming out with RAI related videos, question bank. Also, we are in the process of creating the content for April exam. Okay, most probably we'll be coming out with the question bank, and we are trying to make the question bank of the exam level, so that people who are preparing for the exam, they should be they're in a position to better prepare and gauge themselves for the exam. Okay, so keep tracking our website, our YouTube channel. You'll come to know about it soon. Few of the success stories that we have been posting on YouTube with respect to FRM, SCR, CFA exam, which is there. You can watch those videos and learn. Okay, industry interaction, we do a lot of podcasts on YouTube, and we post that so that people can understand what is happening in different roles, what are the different career opportunities, what are the skills that are needed, and how they can make a good career in finance. So that is been highlighted here. And if you're new to the channel, do subscribe to our channel. Okay, press the bell icon and share this video with anybody who is preparing for the RAI exam. Okay, so again, comment RAI if you want me to make some video on RAI, and also if you can tell us which topic you want me to make video on. So put it on the comment section, we'll look at it and we'll create a video for you. Okay, so I hope this video helps you. Okay, if you have got any question, you can put it on the comment section, and you can reach over here also on our WhatsApp number. Okay, I hope this video helps you in your preparation for the exam, and we will be uploading this PPT also in the website, in the YouTube description box, so that you can download it and you can have a reference to that also. Thank you very much for joining in for this video.